Let me talk to you man to man for a moment. If you've ever watched a relationship slowly fall apart and couldn't fully explain why, this message is for you. Most men don't lose relationships because they're bad men. They lose them because of one simple mistake they repeat without realizing it. You can be loyal. You can be consistent. You can care deeply and still destroy attraction if this mistake shows up in how you think, speak, and move around a woman. What makes this dangerous is that it often feels like the right thing to do. You think you're protecting the relationship. You think you're showing love. You think you're being mature. Meanwhile, the woman begins to feel something shift inside her. She may not argue. She may not complain. She just starts pulling back emotionally. The warmth fades. The effort changes. The connection weakens. Most men only notice when it's already too late, when respect drops, desire cools, and conversations feel forced. By then, panic sets in and the mistake gets even worse. In this video, I'm going to break down that one mistake in a way most men have never heard before. I'll show you how it starts, why it feels harmless, and how it quietly destroys relationships from the inside. If you understand this, you'll protect your future relationships and possibly save the one you're in right now. 1. Overexplaining yourself. One of the fastest ways men damage a relationship is by overexplaining their thoughts, actions, and intentions. At first, it seems harmless. You want to be understood. You want peace. You want to avoid conflict. So you explain everything. Why you said what you said, why you were busy, why you didn't call, why you felt a certain way. You believe clarity creates security. In reality, constant explaining slowly weakens your position as a man. When you over-explain, you place yourself in a defensive frame even when no attack exists. You teach her without words that you need approval for your choices. That changes how she experiences you. Instead of feeling grounded around you, she begins to feel like you're unsure of yourself. Women are deeply responsive to emotional certainty. When that certainty disappears, attraction follows it out the door. Here's the part most men miss. Confident men don't rush to justify themselves. They speak clearly and let their words stand. Over-explaining signals internal pressure. It says, "Please understand me so I can feel okay." That pressure transfers to her nervous system. She may not consciously know why she feels different around you, but she does. This habit often comes from fear of loss. You sense distance, so you talk more. You explain deeper. You try harder. But effort without grounding creates imbalance. The more you chase understanding, the more respect erodes. The fix isn't silence or emotional coldness. It's restraint. Say what needs to be said once, calmly. Let space do the rest. Trust your decisions enough not to defend them endlessly. When you stop over-explaining, you stop shrinking yourself. And when you stand firmly in your words, the relationship regains stability instead of tension. 2. Emotional chasing. Emotional chasing is subtle, and that's why it destroys relationships quietly. It starts the moment you feel her pulling back, and your instinct is to close the gap immediately. You text more. You check in more. You ask questions she didn't ask you to ask. You try to fix feelings that were never meant to be fixed by force. In your mind, you're being attentive. In reality, you're reacting from fear. When a man begins to emotionally chase, the relationship's center of gravity shifts. Instead of two grounded people choosing each other, it becomes one man seeking reassurance and one woman feeling pressure. That pressure kills safety. It makes her feel responsible for your emotional state. Desire doesn't grow under responsibility. It shrinks. Here's what most men don't realize. Women don't pull away because a man cares. They pull away because they feel his need for emotional validation. The more you ask, "Are we okay?" or "Did I do something wrong?" the more you confirm that her mood controls you. Over time, she loses the sense that you're solid within yourself. Emotional chasing often shows up after a disagreement, a slow reply, or a change in energy. Instead of staying calm, you start monitoring. You read into tone. You replay conversations. You move from presence into pursuit. That pursuit feels heavy. The solution is emotional self-control. When you sense distance, slow down instead of speeding up. Stay warm, not anxious. Keep your life moving. Let her come back into connection at her own pace. A grounded man allows space without panic. That steadiness rebuilds attraction far faster than constant emotional reaching ever could. 3. Losing your center. A relationship begins to break the moment a man loses his center. This happens when your life starts orbiting around her moods, opinions, and reactions. You stop doing things because you value them and start doing them because you're trying to maintain harmony. Your schedule shifts. Your boundaries soften. Your voice changes. You may not notice it happening, but she does. When a man loses his center, he becomes reactive instead of intentional. He waits to see how she feels before deciding how he feels. That creates emotional instability. Women are drawn to men who feel anchored, men who move through life with direction and self-trust. When that anchor disappears, the relationship starts feeling uncertain. This mistake often comes from good intentions. You want the relationship to work. You want to be flexible. You want to show care. But flexibility without a core turns into self-abandonment. And self-abandonment always shows up energetically. She may say, "You've changed," even if she can't explain how. Losing your center also means tolerating things you wouldn't have before. You let disrespect slide. You ignore your intuition. You stay quiet when something matters to you. Each time you do this, you send a signal that your needs come last. Respect cannot grow in that environment. The correction is simple but uncomfortable. Reconnect with your priorities. Speak when something matters. Maintain your routines, your standards, and your direction. A relationship should add to your life, not replace it. When you stand firmly in who you are, she feels safe leaning into you again. Stability isn't loud, it's consistent. 4. Seeking constant reassurance. Constant reassurance is one of the quickest ways to drain attraction from a relationship. It doesn't always sound insecure on the surface. It often hides behind casual questions, jokes, or emotional check-ins. "We're good, right? You still happy with me? You know I care about you, yeah?" Each question seems small. Together they form a pattern that weakens your presence. Reassurance seeking puts her in the role of emotional caretaker. Instead of experiencing you as a man who knows his value, she starts feeling like she needs to remind you of it. That flips the emotional balance. Desire grows when a woman feels she's choosing a man, not managing him. This habit usually comes from uncertainty within yourself, not from anything she's actually doing. You may be comparing yourself to other men. You may be carrying old wounds from past rejection. So you look to her responses to feel steady. The problem is that borrowed confidence never lasts. You'll need more and more of it over time. Reassurance also trains her nervous system to associate you with emotional weight. Even if she cares about you, she starts bracing herself for these moments. That creates distance, not closeness. The fix is internal validation. Know where you stand without needing constant confirmation. If something truly needs clarity, address it directly and once. Otherwise, let your actions speak. Confidence is quiet. When you stop asking for reassurance, you create room for her to offer affection freely instead of out of obligation. 5. Avoiding hard moments. Avoiding hard moments feels peaceful in the short term, but it quietly destroys relationships. Many men believe that staying calm means staying silent. So when something bothers you, you brush it off. You tell yourself it's not worth the argument. You keep the peace. What you're actually doing is stacking unresolved tension. Every time you avoid a necessary conversation, you teach her that your feelings don't matter enough to be spoken. Over time, that changes how she sees you. She may feel like she's in the relationship alone, even if you're physically present. Emotional leadership disappears when difficult moments are consistently avoided. Avoidance also leaks out in other ways: Passive comments, sudden withdrawal, emotional distance. These behaviors confuse her more than honesty ever would. Women respect clarity even when it's uncomfortable. Silence creates uncertainty, and uncertainty erodes trust. Most men avoid hard moments because they fear loss. They think speaking up will push her away. In reality, not speaking up slowly does the same thing. Suppressed truth always finds another exit. The solution is calm confrontation. Say what matters without anger, blame, or drama. Be direct. Be steady. Handle issues when they're small instead of waiting until they explode. A man who can sit in discomfort without collapsing earns respect. And respect is what allows attraction to survive long-term pressure. 6. Overprioritizing the relationship. Overprioritizing the relationship feels like commitment, but it often reads as desperation. This mistake happens when the relationship becomes the main source of your purpose, joy, and identity. You cancel plans easily. You put goals on pause. You stop challenging yourself. Without realizing it, you shrink your world to fit around her. At first, she may enjoy the attention. Over time, it becomes heavy. A relationship is meant to complement a man's life, not consume it. When everything revolves around her, she begins to feel like the center of your existence. That position kills polarity. Attraction needs movement, direction, and growth. Men who overprioritize often say yes when they mean no. They stay available at all times. They abandon personal standards to avoid friction. This creates an imbalance where she feels too much responsibility and too little excitement. Desire fades when there's nothing to lean toward. This mistake is rooted in fear of losing her. You think giving more will secure the bond. In reality, it removes the mystery and strength that drew her in. A man with no edge, no direction, and no independence feels predictable. The correction is reclaiming your life. Keep your goals active. Protect your time. Let her fit into your world rather than replacing it. When she sees you engaged with life, she feels inspired, not burdened. A strong relationship grows beside a strong man, not in place of him. 7. Trying to control outcomes. Trying to control outcomes is the silent killer most men never notice. It shows up when you start managing the relationship instead of living inside it. You plan conversations in your head. You choose words carefully to get a specific reaction. You adjust behavior to prevent her from feeling a certain way. On the surface, it looks thoughtful. Underneath, it's fear-driven control. The moment a man tries to control how a woman feels, the connection tightens. Women experience this as pressure. Even if you never raise your voice or make demands, she feels managed instead of met. Attraction can't grow where freedom is missing. Control often comes from anxiety. You want certainty. You want reassurance that the relationship is safe. So you monitor, guide, and subtly steer things. You try to keep everything smooth, but smoothness without authenticity feels empty. She senses you're no longer fully present. You're calculating. This mistake also creates resentment on both sides. You feel exhausted from constantly adjusting. She feels constrained without knowing why. Over time, emotional intimacy fades because neither of you feels free to just be. Strong men allow outcomes. They don't force closeness. They don't micromanage emotions. They show up honestly and let the relationship respond naturally. That takes courage. It means accepting that you can't control everything, and you don't need to. When you release the need to manage results, your presence becomes lighter. Conversations flow. Tension drops. She feels safe expressing herself without being handled. Control feels protective, but trust is what actually protects a relationship. Let go of outcomes, and connection has room to return. This simple mistake destroys relationships because it slowly pulls a man away from himself. When you start explaining too much, chasing emotionally, seeking reassurance, avoiding hard moments, losing your center, over-prioritizing the relationship, or trying to control outcomes, you weaken the very foundation that holds attraction together. None of this means you don't care. It means you cared without grounding. The solution is presence, self-trust, and direction. Stand firm in who you are. Speak clearly. Allow space. A strong relationship doesn't need constant fixing. It needs a man who stays solid, calm, and rooted in himself.